Welcome to this next session where we will deep dive a little more into the webinar. Hi everyone, I'm Eliza, the head of CPaaS marketing at 8x8, focusing on embeddable communications and APIs. Joining the conversation with us today is Top Jirayut, Thailand's leading Bitcoin and open blockchain expert. He is currently the founder and group CEO at BitCup. We also have Etienne Dupont. He has a decade of experience in the digital and tech industries and is now the Senior Director of Business Messaging Solutions from Rakuten Viber. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Elisa, for the invitation.
Thank you. So, going back to the webinar topic, right, about providing a more human experience for your customers in a digital world. So we will be sharing tips and best practices to build loyalty and generate value for our customers. So we will be hearing from both of you as you share your experiences, opinions, and some insights about it all. Let's start with Top. Top, do share with our audience a little about yourself and about BitCup's amazing 1,000% growth during the past year. And how did it take a toll on your team and even to communicate with this, sudden influx of new customers?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Top. I have been in this blockchain space and cryptocurrency industry for 8 years now. And BitCup is actually my second company. And as we all know, the cryptocurrency market has been growing crazy in almost every country. And BitCup is now the largest cryptocurrency and blockchain companies in Thailand, and we control like 96.7% market share. So the growth has been tremendous. The BitCup has been around for only 3 years and 8 months, not even 4 years, and we have experienced 1,000% growth consecutively for 4 years now, right? So for the first year, we only made like 3 million revenue. Second year, we made 33 million revenue at 10x growth. Last year we made 345 million revenue, and this year we will be hitting 5 billion baht of revenue, or 100 million of net profit. So the company has been adding, this year alone, since January, we have been adding at least 40,000 customers per day in terms of use and sign up. Imagine a size of a full stadium, football sized stadium coming in every day. Tomorrow there's another stadium full of people, that size coming in every day. So it's a crazy growth for us, and the team scaled from like 200 people to 1,478 people in just 6 months, and we've been supporting the community, the customers throughout the 4 years period. And the reason why we are able to growth hack and to capture the growth is most of the startups focus on doing things that scale, right? But we have been listening to Ray Hoffman. He said you should, for the first 2 years of your startup, you should focus on things that don't scale. So we have been educating the customers in the past 4 years. I have personally been on almost 1,000 stages in the last 4 years, hopping on different micro communities one-on-one, trying to educate what blockchain is, what Bitcoin is, what cryptocurrency is in Thailand, get to know them face to face, every time 50 people, 20, 200 people per stage in the last, 4 years. And once the timing is right, everyone, came to us. And the best way to growth hack is, the strongest form of marketing is word of mouth marketing. That's the strongest bond that we could have with customers, especially financial institution player or financial platform. People will not be depositing 10 million baht on a random ads that they see on Facebook or on Google and be able to sleep well at night. They need to meet you face to face, get to know you, 2 or 3 hours of lecture of how cryptocurrency works in the last, that we have been doing in the last 4 years, 5 in the space. And once you are able to, Reeve Hoffman was saying that it is better to have 10,000 people that completely love your product or completely your fans, right? Fan clubs, hardcore fans about your company or your product. It is much better than having a million customers who are sort of okay.
Yeah.
Because those 10,000 customers would be your advocates for the company and the product. They would tell everyone around themselves. One person would tell 5 additional people.
That's true.
You would grow in a strongest form of marketing. And we have been doing this in Thailand, understanding communities. It is very important to understand communities. And once we hit this equilibrium point, the network effect, everyone just pouring into BitCup, and to the point that our app was the most downloaded apps in Thailand. We exceeded Facebook, Google, and other apps in the country. And in May, we're the most visited financial websites in the country. We overtake Stock Exchange of Thailand and even the largest banks in terms of the number of visits. And we scaled from 200,000 customers to 2.3 million customers in just in the last 7 or 8 months. And that's what we've been doing in terms of marketing and growth, I think, for a customer understanding communities.
Yeah, it is important, right, to be able to engage your customers meaningfully, then for them to be your advocate to spread the word around. So speaking of which, Viber was the first chat app to provide business messaging back then. Etienne, how has the dynamics of business messaging evolved for the customers of today? Because right now the customers have constant demand for instant information, instant customer support, and now they are even demanding for more human touch, so human experience as well. So how does that evolved so far?
Yeah. So yeah, as you say, like Viber was probably one of the pioneer OTT channels that have launched business messaging activities as long as a traditional user-to-user interactions. So we were right front to see, the industry change and how the business messaging ecosystem evolved. So we have seen the emergence of WhatsApp business. We have seen RCS discussions still struggling to develop itself and really take a leading positions. But out of the industry evolutions, yes, we have seen on one side, we have seen a clear shift from the user side, like shifting to most of their digital interactions on messaging app, whatever it's Vibers or other competitors. Like now it's representing something like 300 billion message exchange every day on OTT channels. We have also seen, and I have seen a demand from the users to be able to be in touch with their brands on the OTT channels. Users are keen now to text the brands and calling them, or at least manage some, simple operation by text than just calling, waiting online or whatever, because it's easier, it's more real time. They don't necessarily need the answers in the right minutes, but they can wait a bit. So text is really providing this. And on the other side, business took a bit more time, to take advantage of the technology. So the shift has been a bit slower. There were more at the beginning, in a test and learn situations where they wanted, to try sending some message to the users, see how it could perceive, how the tool is working. And with the pandemic last year, I mean, this digital these digital transformations completely accelerated from a situations where brands were already sending message, but really didn't want to have like meaningful conversation on OTT channels. They are really accelerated on this. They want to send more message. They want to send to provide more services on the OTT channels. They want to have conversations. They want to hear what users are saying. So it's a matter of they have to adapt a bit some organizations on the site. They have to adapt the resource that can manage such conversations and the tool they are using. It's also a matter of educations from the industry, from Vibers, from other leaders to explain them the value they can get by moving business conversations on OTT channels. But
I see.
we are now in a position and in the timing where it's really coming and moving to the next step.
Amazing, right? In the digital world today, many technologies are constantly transforming, in order to be up to date for to meet the needs of both customers and also businesses. So I was wondering, right? Have you faced such challenges in the financial world, Top? I believe when you spearheaded the growth of cryptocurrency in Thailand, it wasn't all easy or smooth. So maybe you can explain, share with us, the emerging technologies that you've observed, and what are the challenges that came about?
Sure. On the cryptocurrency industry alone and blockchain industry alone, it's like 1 month in our industry is like a year in a traditional industry. It's never
Wow.
been the same. Even studying cryptocurrency full time, you feel like you're lagging behind because the pace is moving so fast. There's always new things happening, every day, with all the new protocols coming out, all the new developments in the space, and all the interest and capital are also coming into the industry. But on the companies also, operation of the companies, or to run a startup alone, we leverage over 50 applications, over 50 cloud-based applications to operate a new digital company in Thailand, especially working from home. We are using a lot of applications like Slack, LastPass, GetVero, Mailchimp, Intercom, all these different applications to help operate the company in the digital world. And a good thing about using cloud-based application is that technology progresses at a much faster, exponential rate, and we don't need to invest into building those applications ourselves. There's no sunk cost, no capex, no opex, right? For us to hit the break-even point in terms of local investment. We can just subscribe the latest technology, and when something is outdated, we can just press the unsubscribe button and subscribe to the latest trend, latest the most high world-class technology. So we as a company would always get access to the world-class technology to the same level as big companies do. And that is a good thing about everything is on cloud right now, all the applications. So there are two separate sides here. Running the company alone, we have over 50 applications, but in reality, we have tested more than 350 applications. Progressing all the time to find how to work smarter, how to get the more productivity out of the new way that we work. How do we leverage more? How do we automate more on the way we work internally? On the external end, the development is keeping up with it full time. You feel like you're lagging behind because in our industry, in cryptocurrency and blockchain, 1 month is like a year in the digital space. There's always be new developments, new protocols coming out all the time.
That's very interesting, because we need to beware the customers, beware and reach the customers wherever they are, right? And in order to do that, we have to equip the employees to be more productive and to reach customers and to connect with them. So for Etienne, have you faced anything similar? Because we also need to understand where the customers already are, so we can reach and connect to them.
Yeah, I mean, Viber also built his user base, built a user base and build tools to offer them and leverage the digital communication between themselves, with their family, with their friends, etc. So it was quite on our side natural in this sense to try to also offer a seamless experience when it comes to business conversation, for instance. But it doesn't mean that it has not been an easy journey, let's say. At the very beginning, like 5 years ago, there was like internal fear or let's say stress regarding how users are going to react when it comes to business being able to contact them on Viber. How are they going to perceive this type of communications? Are they going to delete Vibers, or are not going to consider them as full spam or whatever? So and to fight sometimes this kind of apprehensions, it's a matter of education. It's a bit like Top was saying in the first part. It's a matter of education to the users. It's a matter of also be able to make some pilot tests, to go it progressively, to understand how they use new features, and take it from there. Maybe completely change from one feature we have been developing, and actually the usage have been completely different, and this way we need to adapt. Or if it goes in the sense that we were planning, continue to iterate. But also in the essence of, for instance, in the business messaging world, let's say, one of the key stuff is also a matter of education to the brand itself, because we are providing them and giving them a scope of solutions that they can take advantage. So we need to work with them to understand what is the value of these technologies, what they can do with this, what can they take from it, what can be the value for the consumers, and it's not something like you are doing in a day. So you need to educate them, do some meetings, participate to events, do a webinar like this, to show them the value, and it's a matter also of time and patience and taking the time to explain it.
Great, thanks for sharing that. It's very insightful, and I think we've reached the last point, discussion points that we wanna know as well. So as the digital space continues to evolve, right, it becomes more important to build that human connection with customers. You know where your customers are, you have the technologies behind it, but we are lacking the human connection right now in the new way of working. Do you guys have any tips for our audience to do that? Let's start with Top.
Sure. So, it is very important to maintain trust and reputation as a financial platform. We always have to go beyond and surprise customers, right? One team within the company, we need to have this customer obsession mindset and always find the best technology to humanize the customer relationship, to humanize the experience as much as we can, right? To make sure that they can fully trust us. We're here for them. We show face, we show real names, to make sure that, we can really substitute the online experience to the offline, experience as much as we can. That's one team. But another team, we need to do things that don't scale as well. It is very important to find the substitutes as much as we can to the real world relationship. For example, during COVID, we host virtual dinner. So we send out dinners, and we go to the restaurant and film how we made that dinner, and we display it at the start of the virtual dinner, and we actually open camera and have dinner together with customers and actually share their concern and get the feedback directly from the customers. The team, we need to really understand. The second team needs to understand how to build communities, right? During, post-COVID, we will be hosting meetups every month, every week. People can come to our office, see the way we work, see faces, that there are faces behind the platform. There are actual human faces behind the company, right? That's someone that they trust. We even have our own communication arm, a production team that film day to day, a day in a life as a BitCuber, to see how we work, to get to know David, to get to know, Joe as a person working at BitCub. So they feel like they know this person as a friend, as a family member online. Oh, this David is processing my orders for me. I have seen a day in the life of David working at BitCub before. So they understood this, sense of belonging. And when they come to the office, they actually get to meet David also, right? Because they can come to see our offices. We have classes, physical classes, on how to onboard customers, how to buy, how to sell cryptocurrency. We actually teach customers in our office venue as well as hosting constant hosting meetups. Like every month, people can come and meet face to face and grow the community.
Thanks, Todd, for sharing that. That's very interesting, especially the one with the surprising the customers and to build that trust and to putting face in front of customers as well to understand your team behind it. So how about you, Etienne?
Yeah, I mean, for the past few years, there were big. The industry has been all about, artificial intelligence, natural language technology, chatbots, and I mean they can be super useful. I mean, for a brand, it can be a super powerful tool, to help them to remain available 24 hours, 7 days a week available for their consumers. It can save them a lot of time and resources. It can help them to drive audience and engage with some customers and reply to some trivial questions or some stuff that customers are asking. But from my point of view, I mean, the technology is not yet at the stage where it's going to replace a full human interactions, whatever it's online, on the phone, or physical in the shop. I think there are humans need this kind of human interactions, particularly when it comes to more complex situations or whatever. And that's why usually when the brand is coming to us or coming to me saying that, yeah, I want to have a chatbot on Viber. Okay, yeah, so I mean, it can be a super good tool for you. And one of the questions we're asking them back is like, so what is the type of experience that you would like to have on Viber? So what kind of chatbot and what are the scenarios or users interaction that you would like to manage on the chatbot? And usually at this stage, still a lot of brands, want to have something, but don't really think about what they want to have inside. And we need to work with them along the side, to identify what can be some initial usage that they could manage on chatbot that could make sense for the users, that could make sense for them and saving them time or resources, but without, cutting this user interaction. Because I think it's the worst case where, when the user is having a bad experience in the chatbot and at some point you realize that the technology of the chatbot is not working like it should be or is not powerful enough to manage the situations, it can break up this kind of user interactions and get the user even more frustrated. So the brands really need to keep this in mind, use the tool for what it is, know the limitation of the tool, think about what they can do on it, adapt also the tools to the channel so they can adapt their tone of voice, they can be less formal, etc. So they can play with a lot of the features as part of a chatbot or depending on the environment where the technology is published. But they also need to know that it won't replace 100% all digital interactions. I mean, today it's not yet, and plus I don't think also as a customers that you want to only talk to a robot all day long anyway.
Yes, thanks for sharing that. That's very, very insightful. So it seems like the audience has some questions for both of you. So Top, based on your experience, any advice for businesses who are looking to expand into Thailand, how to better communicate with Thai customers?
Sure. So for Thailand is a small country in the ASEAN region with a total population of around 70 million people. But if we were to dig deeper, even though we are in the ASEAN region, every country is very unique on its own, right? It's not one size fits all. Every country has their own community, has their own culture, has their own way of thinking, has their own way of acting and behaving in a certain way. And the best way to understand customers is to really get to know customers first by doing the working backwards approach. As Jeff Bezos was saying, you have to be a customer-centric, customer obsession company. A company jobs is to stay young forever. You cannot just stick to the old assumption. The company cannot just grow old with your old user base. You need to really understand customers all the time and be able to innovate. And the best way to innovate is not from the CEO sitting in the high tower somewhere, not really understanding or knowing his customers, right? His or her customers. The best way to innovate is to work backwards. Go and talk to customers, understand their pain points, understand their culture, their behavior, and then localize the products and services. Companies that will thrive in the future are the companies that are able to understand the customers from all the data points that they have, as well as interaction, engagement. I guess everyone in the future would be able to access the data. But the companies that are different, the companies are those that are constantly communicating to customers all the time. Everyone has access to data. That's equal access, right? In the near future, big data is coming. But the companies that will thrive are the ones that are really, humanizing the experience, communicating all the time to customers, ensuring trust, right? That we're here for them. We are having this beyond expectation or surprise customers all the time. It is much better to have 10,000 people that completely love your product. They will be the hardcore advocates online, telling 5,000 people each, instead of having 1 million customers who are sort of okay, with your product. So you have to really start from the community. Find the right community for your product. Someone who really are gonna be the advocates, really hardcore believers, fans of your company, and then grow from there. Right? It's the strongest form of marketing. You have to really understand communities, and that is very important. Right? When a company enters into a different country, you cannot generalize the product. You need to localize and humanize to match, a certain country, to match a certain community, and gradually grow and tailor the products and services to understand the customers in each country.
That's very interesting, especially building that community and to be localizing according to what the market can relate to. Thanks for sharing that, Top. We have one last question that I think we can bring in today for Etienne. At which part of the customer journey do you think messaging is a critical part of?
I think actually messaging can be part of probably each step of a customer journey. To give you some example, I mean, you can manage brand awareness or brand acquisition campaigns on messaging to get to know yourself in front to a new potential audience. You can engaging the discussions on messaging app and interact actively with new or existing customers. You can manage transactions. So it can be whether sending them transactional message regarding, a one-time password or bank saving, stuff like this. But it can also be manage purchase on messaging apps. So, you can manage payment directly and sell your product directly. You can also do, obviously, customer support and have an active channels where users can reach you out and reply to your customer questions and plug, in this case, your customer support team. So as you can see, the scope of usage is wild, and it doesn't necessarily mean that a brand need to do everything at the first time. They can start with one of the case that I just described and take it from there and see how it's performing and create and add additional usage from some initial tests. So it can be also a progressive learning for the brands that want to invest on messaging channels.
Thanks for sharing that. Okay, I think that's about all we have today. Thank you both for sharing your very insightful session. Let me summarize some key takeaways that the audience have learned from both of you. So the first one is to really understand your customers' needs and share their values to drive, that human and emotional connection. The second one is to engage customers more meaningfully with interactive conversations, building that trust there, surprising customers as well on giving them the best customer support that they never expect, right? The last one is to also leverage on technologies to get the necessary support needed to ensure the entire customer experience is seamless and consistent across all channels. And most importantly, technology cannot replace humans 100%, but it can be an enabler. So this is all we have today for the webinar. Thank you both for joining. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Elisa.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Bye-bye.